and walked away. Cassie sighed as she looked at the envelope. It was amazing what a person could get another to do when money was involved, and Dan had a lot of money. She opened the envelope and found a letter inside telling her where Dan had parked the car, and also the address where she was to pick up Duke, his dog. "I'm gonna kill you, Dan," Cassie ground out with a sniff as she dumped the keys into her icy hand. She had been nervous about leaving behind everything she knew to live in Scotland, but the prospect of seeing her brother was too good to pass up. Now he couldn't even be here to pick her up. No explanation other than it was an emergency. Dan could be thoughtless, but even he had seemed excited at her coming to Scotland. She couldn't help but wonder if the emergency had something to do with Dan's wife. They had been having some marital issues. Cassie squared her shoulders. She could do this. Or so she thought. Finding the car was another obstacle. Between the cold, her coat, which was hardly enough to brace against the wind, and her carry-on with wheels so old they didn't roll properly on the pavement, she never thought she'd find the car, and when she was finally standing in front of it, all she could do was laugh. It was either that or cry. Cassie was bent over laughing so hard, tears threatened, as she stared at what her brother thought was a vehicle, but surely had to be a Hot Wheels car. She fumbled with the keys to open the door, and started laughing again at what constituted the back seat. "I guess it's a good thing my luggage was lost, because there's no way I'd fit it and myself inside." Getting in the opposite side and realizing the car was a standard put another black mark in her brother's column. Not that she'd say anything to him about it. He was giving her a place to stay when she had nowhere else to go. At least the car had a GPS. Cassie hurried as fast as her numb fingers would allow her to input the address to pick up Duke. Another surprise, since she'd no idea Dan owned a dog. It took no time to get out of the airport, but she couldn't say the same for driving. Cassie had never been very good at driving stick shifts, and using her dumb hand was only making things worse. The sound of her grinding the gears could be heard all over Scotland. Remembering to shift as well as staying on the correct side of the road had her already exhausted brain on overload by the time she reached the kennel. And then she saw Duke. "He's not a dog," Cassie told the kennel worker in a strangled voice. "He's a freaking horse." The teenager leading the black and white Harlequin Great Dane out of the back room smiled. "Duke is a big lad, but he's got himself a sweet disposition. A good thing, too, considering his size." Cassie had never seen a Great Dane up close. She really hoped their reputation for gentle giant personas was true. Another catastrophe she couldn't take today. "Oh, shit," she said as she remembered the car. Somehow the teenager got Duke in the front seat with the window down so the dog could poke his head out. "Dogs get car sick," he told Cassie, as if that explained everything. "I had no idea," she mumbled, and bent to look how Duke would have put his head had the window not been lowered. She sighed and climbed back into the car to input the address for Dan's house into the GPS. When she saw it would take her nearly 4 hours to reach the house, Cassie almost let the tears loose. Instead, she gripped the wheel and looked at Duke, who regarded her with dark, solemn eyes while he panted. Even with the heater set on full blast, the cold still came in through the window. "I'm not sure if I'm ready for this," she said to Duke. "I haven't slept in 36 hours. I'm freezing, and I'm driving a stick, on the wrong side of the road. This is a really shitty day, Duke." In answer, he nudged his large head against her shoulder. She smiled and scratched him behind the ear. Her morale fortified by a dog, Cassie started the car and headed out on the M90 north toward Perth. For several hours the drive was fine, but then they left the road with shoulders for a narrower one that wound into the mountains. Duke kept his head out the window and wore what Cassie was sure was a smile, while she kept the car in the correct lanes. It was difficult not to look at the magnificent scenery, even in the dead of winter. With the new year just beginning, Cassie viewed this not as a